Trying to stay with. He's coming. Yeah, he must be injured. Hey. No, that's right. Just made it 7 o'clock. All bow for invitations. Dear God, our Father in heaven, we be thankful that you praise the blessings upon our town. We thank you for this opportunity to do business with the town. We pray for your guidance and that we roll call.
Yes, Mayor Black.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore, I know is not here tonight. Lockwood, Commissioner Milton.
Motion to adopt the agenda for tonight. Have a second. All right. All in favor? So carried. Time we would entertain the comment to come to the podium. State your name, address.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Danielle Barber, but I'm here speaking on behalf of my bonus daughter. She's a little nervous about talking in front of other people. I do have some pictures that I wanted to pass out, that we made copies of to share. If you don't mind, I will, read her statement. Again, good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Keisha Long. My family and I reside at 5226 Sun River Road in Gastonia, North Carolina, 28054 Road. In 2019, I realized my dream of purchasing my own home with my fiance. My dream has now turned into a nightmare as a resident of Spencer Heights neighborhood. Myself and my neighbors are constantly harassed about parking outside of our homes. I feel the design of my driveway, which you have a picture of, is the worst in the entire neighborhood. It is very difficult to park our cars in our garage. Our cars have sustained significant damage underneath the front of the cars due to pulling into our driveway. If we pull into our garage, it causes damage to the rear of our cars when we're pulling out. So we just pull into the driveway. So this allows us only to park 2 cars at our home. Our cars have been towed multiple times, costing us hundreds of dollars in towing fees. In one instance, my fiance was sitting in his car outside of our home and the tow truck came along and hooked up his vehicle while he was sitting in the car. In another instance, my fiance's son, who is currently a senior at Ashbrook High School, came out of our home, only to realize his car was not where he had parked it. In fact, it had been towed away, which resulted in us having to make other arrangements to get him to school, causing him to be late for class. The most recent incident occurred last Wednesday. I stopped by my home just to quickly grab something from the house that I needed for an appointment. I may have been in the house 10 minutes, and when I came back outside, a Ranlo police officer was sitting behind my rental car with his blue lights on. I am currently driving a rental car because I was recently rear-ended on I-485. I did not want to risk damaging the rental car by parking it in my driveway, which is why it was parked on the side of the street, which you have another picture. I was not parked completely in the street, but mostly in my yard, but the passenger side wheels were on the pavement of the streets. The officer advised that he had already called the tow truck and they were on the way. I advised the officer that I had just dropped by the house for a quick moment, and now that I am out, I can move the car. The officer told me I could not leave, that I in fact had to wait for the tow truck to arrive. I was held up for 15 minutes waiting on a tow truck to come to tow me away. When the tow truck driver arrived, I explained the situation. He called his supervisor, and the supervisor gave the driver permission to let me go. The tow truck driver permission to let me go. Is this even legal? Because it seems like it's another example of predatory towing. The Ranlo officer told me I was lucky because they usually charge $150. Keep in mind, there is not a no parking sign on my side of the street. Also, the same exact day, at a later time, someone had a U-Haul parked on the side of the road for hours, and to my knowledge, with no consequences. I could go on and on about how the police sit in our neighborhood waiting to catch someone parked on the street, which is like Russian roulette in our neighborhood because some people get fined and towed while others may not. Some of my neighbors have been fined hundreds of dollars for their guests parking on the side of the road, and sometimes with no cars even being towed. The HOA would not allow us to park in our own yards, and the town would not allow us to park on the side of the street. We take a chance of inviting friends and family to our home at the risk of being towed away or fined. Homes are constantly going up for sale in our community, and more homes are being rented because residents are fed up with feeling harassed over parking and cheated by towing companies. I am asking you to reconsider your policy about our street parking, or come up with a fair way that allows residents to enjoy their homes with family and friends without the fear of being towed or facing fines. I am also requesting clarity on the right of a police officer to require a person to wait for a tow truck to come to either tow their car away or be fined. I felt my right to get in my car and leave last Wednesday was definitely violated. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Right, any questions for the board?
Have a problem with their driveway? Is anyone else in your neighborhood has a problem with the driveway?
I don't know necessarily if they have a problem like going in their driveways. I know that there's been other neighbors that has issues about the parking, like being towed. I don't know if their driveway is, like, messing up their cars like mine is, but I do know that the towing has been an issue in my neighborhood.
So, on your driveway is unusable, is that what you're saying? Has it always been that way, or did it just happen?
No, it's always been that way.
When you bought the house, you noticed it was like that?
Well, when I bought the house, I didn't actually pull into the driveway. So after I bought the house is when I realized that pulling in, it makes this loud, like, scraping noise. If you pull in a certain way, you gotta angle your car, and I only can pull in on the right side. So the left side, there's no way my car is going on that left side, because it's gonna really like scrape it to where, it is probably gonna tear it up completely. So I do try to do my best as far as getting in the car, because my car sits so low. I have a Kia Stinger, so it sits kind of lower to the ground.
Sir, the way her driveway is made, I'm her farmer. The way her driveway is made, probably it shouldn't have even passed code when it was built, when the home was built. Because it comes down here, then it comes back up into the garage. And like she said, when she pulls into the driveway, the front end of the car the nose, it scrapes, it hits the pavement. Then when and if she gets in there, coming out, the back end is gonna hit, trying to get back up the hill. And the only way that wouldn't happen is if she had a truck. If she had a truck like mine, she could get in there, but of course, my truck is too big to fit into the garage. It would be too tall, so it wouldn't get into the garage, but it wouldn't scrape because it got all that clearance on it. But a normal car cannot get in and out of that driveway without, damaging the front end and the rear end coming back out.
And I'm aware of the situation. I have dealt with a time that she had a friend to get towed, and I told her to park in grass because I knew they wouldn't tow her if she's off out of the street. But then I knew that would eventually be a problem with the HOA, but I advised her just pull in your own yard. But, I'm unhappy with her situation because I can't imagine a police officer telling her to wait 15 minutes for the tow truck to get to the house, just to turn around and not tow, but charge her the fee for coming to the house. And we also had that issue in my cul-de-sac, Pasco Place. One of the neighbors, she was fined $600. They didn't tow anything, but because they called the tow trucks, she had to pay the $600. So, all of these are without warning. You didn't receive any warnings or anything, as in,
Pasco, they see two warnings.
You need to come up here, if you're gonna speak.
okay.
All right, so, what the deal is on the reasoning that they don't want to allow any parking is we had a emergency for that neighborhood that had, up on the South Road and fire truck could get through, actually hit two cars, I think, parked on the side of the road. It's got a fire truck and the car. They had to go to an ordinance. The road's not wide enough for people parking on the side of the road, and then emergency vehicles came. So we had to come up with a solution, and that's the only solution we could get, is not to allow people to park on the side of the road. The neighborhood wasn't built, huge roads, and it's something we can't change. Go back and change the roads, but and your driveway, and we can't change that. That was something, bought the house and it's already there. So I don't know. You gotta park in your driveway. Can't park on the side of the road. You do have a dilemma. I don't know how we can fix that. Allow you to park on the side of the road and not park in the driveway. Is that what we're asking?
Well,
No,
well, I would ask that there be some type of exception made, if someone could come out, someone from town council could come out and just look at her driveway and see how bad it is, how actually bad it is. I don't know if anybody else's driveway is that bad in the neighborhood, so maybe some type of exception could be made and let the officers know, hey, she can, if she's so far in her grass, if the wheels are touching the road, don't tow a car. I mean, in this particular incident where she was made to wait the other day, almost completely out of the road, just the tires was touching the road, one set of tires, but majority of the car was in her yard. But she still was made to wait 15 minutes for a tow truck to come.
I have a question for the chief of police. If I'm gonna pretend I'm a patrol officer, I'm coming down Sun River. I noticed that there are 4 cars on the side of the street, okay? The one that is the farthest out in the road, I'm calling Hefner, tow truck, whoever, we got a vehicle in the street. Because they're surely not gonna say, I would assume they're not gonna say, there are 4 vehicles in the road, I want you to come tow 4 vehicles. So let's say I'm just gonna pinpoint one, right? So let's say the tow truck comes. In the meantime, the tow truck pulls up. Let's say the 3 other homeowners who have cars on the side of the road, they come out the house, hop in their car and move their vehicle, right? Do they have to pay a fine too?
So
No, let's say, we have 4 vehicles, okay? He approaches one of them, can't tow but one at a time, right? So, but he can look over and say, well, there's one at 223 and 224 and 228, right? Do they have to pay a fee also? Because he knew that he saw their vehicles in the road, although he couldn't get to them?
Those are all too far.
They hook up or anything. So are police officers, are they told to tell the vehicle owner that they have to wait for the tow trucks to come? They cannot move their vehicle until a tow truck comes? But she's saying that's what happened in her situation. She was told to just wait for the tow truck to come, and they waited, what she said, 15 minutes? Is,
I'm sorry.
okay, go ahead.
I was gonna chime in, and to answer some of your questions. Let me start by saying, I'm sorry that this is going on. I'm sorry that you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And pledging to you, so I'm a town manager, not on council, that I'm happy to help work through this and try to get some answers to get this squared away. I was made aware of this just a couple hours ago, and obviously hearing all the things that are going on, knowing what we normally do, hearing your process and everything that happened to you, I want to look into it. I want to see exactly what happened. I want to try to figure out if there's a way, because, we offer like temporary parking permits, like you said, just try to find some sort of resolution or some sort of answer. And obviously, I still will listen to whatever the board says, but to your credit, I want to look in and just see some of the details. So what we can do, if it's okay with y'all, is maybe once this meeting gets through and we get through with our normal business, I can give you my card, and then we can sit down, and that'll give me time to look on every side of the things that we look on, right? It'll give me a chance to talk with the officer, give me a chance to talk with the chief, it'll give me a chance to talk with y'all, and then we can sit down and really see what happened. And then, if something comes up, I can always come back to the board if it's, because we have the ordinance, just like the mayor mentioned, where there was a medical emergency, and I think the spirit of the ordinance, it's not for me necessarily to go into, but is to prevent that from happening again. So there's obviously some good in it, but if this is something that we need to figure out, I'm happy to do that. So once we get done with this meeting, I'd be glad to sit down and talk with you about exactly your side of the story, and talk with police, and we can work through it together. Happy to go ahead.
I appreciate that. Yeah, because, I think the other day she should have been allowed to drive away, but Officer Lewis wouldn't let her leave.
And I'm happy to look into it and see exactly.
And can we also get information on how often this is occurring? How often tow trucks are called?
Yeah.
Because, sometimes you don't want to get into a thing where people feel like only brown people are getting towed or something like that. So can we see the history? I mean, how does that work with the police? And who is getting towed?
Because I can assure you that's never something that we've ever done in any capacity. We have the ordinance that says to tow if it's on certain town streets. And that's all we're doing is just enforcing that ordinance. But I'm happy to look into this and see exactly what happened.
But I know when they do call the tow truck, once they're activated like that, they're come out, and there's nowhere to be towed. They get paid. So that's probably what the officer was saying. I've already called the tow truck. It's on its way. It wasn't to be mean or ugly, and it's good that the tow truck owner was able to, give lenience to the situation, but that's
He
what,
didn't. She paid. He got fined.
she said once.
This time.
He still been detained because he said, well, if you leave, I'll write, do you want a citation or do you want to wait on the tow truck? He said, well, give me a citation. He said no, he wouldn't do it then. After he offered to give her a citation, she was gonna take the citation because she needed to get to a doctor's appointment.
It looks like somebody could work with her on that, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
Well, Charlie will look into it. We'll get it to the bottom of it. Thank y'all for coming out.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else that wants to come to the podium and speak? Come on.
Okay.
Something brief, but, Mayor and council members, my name is Christopher Bitt, and I stay at 5103 Pasco Place. I've been in my house in August, 19 years. In Spencer Heights. Um, I was the third person to move in the neighborhood. And since I've been in the neighborhood, it's always been no parking signs in the cul-de-sac, right? Never had a problem with it before. But I think most of the problem is when people buy houses, the homeowners association don't give them a rundown how things are supposed to work. It's not their fault, but I feel like that they should give them some kind of way of letting them know how things work in a homeowners association community. Now, some people don't have a clue. Cause see, I had to learn the hard way too. Cause it was times that I come outside and I had orange stickers and everything on my car. I think I got told one time, but that's when they was putting the orange stickers on. All right, y'all putting orange stickers on them. They putting the orange stickers on the window, right? So I learned just to say, you know what? I'm gonna start parking in the, just parking in the driveway or in the grass or whatever the case may be. But situation that I had the other week, which what Robin was talking about brief just a few minutes ago, was the officers had came out there and warned this particular family just moved in the neighborhood. I think in October, had warned them several times. Don't park them. So they had one. And the only problem I had with them was is that I even had talked to them about it because it's frustrating when you can't get your mail. Because if they got a car parked in front of your mailbox, I want several all the time. I don't get my mail. Because they're not gonna stop and give me my mail. They're gonna go right around the cul-de-sac and see, I stay in the cul-de-sac, y'all. It's a little more important. Because most of the property lines is cut like this. So it's shaped like a pineapple shape all the way around. So you really got more backing in front of you. So I said, look, I'm not getting my mail. Could y'all please just stay in y'all personal space? This is my personal space. I said, I don't mind every once in a while you guys do this, but you can't have a 10 or 12 car party every weekend. And think somebody gonna say, well, yeah, just pull up, park in front of my house, block my mailbox, block my driveway, park in my grass. I work hard on my grass. I get it aerated and overseed. I do all that. I like green, pretty grass. I don't want you parking in my grass. I'm sorry. I work way too hard to have the things that I get. I work way too hard. It's not nothing personal. It's about respect. I want to get along with my neighbors. Like I said, I've been there going on 19 years in August. Never had a problem with my neighbors until the neighbor, before they moved in, at the end, they got kind of, chippy, but I didn't pay that no attention because I knew they was on their way out. But the new people that moved in, it's just like they don't care what I say, or evidently what the police say. So on that instance, when the police came this time, they brought 3 tow trucks with them. Because they had at least 10 or 11 cars out in the cul-de-sac. Seriously.
So
And it's not every weekend, it's particular times when they do it. And I don't want to get in all of that, but I'm just letting you know that's what happened. And I want to get along with them. I don't want to come home every day and feel like I got to argue with my neighbor because they parked all out in front of my house, leaking oil all out in front of my house, or blocking my mailbox. I don't want to have to go through that. So that's the only problem I had with the whole issue is disrespect other people's property and respect other people's personal space, and then it won't be no problem. So did I want to have to call the police on them? No, but I did. Because I done everything that I could do. So to keep the peace, to keep me from getting in trouble, keep them from, we're going back and forth and everything. So I just said, I feel like I had to get the lock on fire.
Sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, I had to go through it. Did I want to get my cars towed? Did I want to get orange stickers put on my window? No. If my company wanna get that done, no, so what I do now is, like, if I'ma have company, we got an empty field right there, so when you come in the Spencer Heights community, it's an empty field right there. If I'ma have a party or graduation or whatever, I have all my company, no, this is what I do. I take my cars, park them in the field. I have my company fill up my driveway, and then if anybody else come, I escort them over there and let them park in the field. So they won't get the cars, though. So that was my solution to them too. I told them all this from day one. Just get them. So, if we can get like personal passes, I know they told me one time if my driveway get full, I can actually come up here and park. Is that correct? And then get somebody to take it back down. That's the situation that happened. And Pastor. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate you coming sharing that with us. Thank you, Charles, for that. All right, next item on the agenda is update to the board and public on the new closed session statistics to continue live streaming.
Wouldn't mind, I'm just gonna pass my information real quick, that they can on. Then on the agenda.
You know, but it's fine. Man, you want these pictures? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, you want me to go ahead with number 5?
Yes, please.
All right, so this is an update. The agenda item for maybe those listening at home is the update to board and public on new closed session logistics. So we continue our live stream. So for everybody here on board, everybody here in public, or maybe listening at home, traditionally done when we have our board meetings, we obviously go on Facebook Live and sit on the computer over there. When we go into closed session, what we have traditionally done is that we will move to go into closed session. Public will leave this space, and then we hold our closed session in here. We normally close down the Facebook Live and stop the live stream, and then it doesn't come back up because it's a lot of steps, and they will create 2 videos and probably some confusion. So what I've seen in previous jurisdictions that I work for that works well, and what I'm proposing that we'll do tonight is that when we get to closed session, what we will do is we will vote to go into closed session. The public can stay in this space. Facebook Live will stay on in this space. We will go up and go into our training room just around the corner and have our closed session in that space. Then we will come back in here, come back up on the dais, vote to go back into open session. That way the Facebook Live is still going. That way if there's anybody watching at home who can't make it to these meetings, they will get to see if there are any actions coming out of closed session that have just been traditionally not getting broadcast will now be on the broadcast. So Mr. Mayor, if you're all right with that, we will stand up at closed session. The public can stay. Facebook will stay on. We'll go to the other room, come back in, and then everything will keep going.
I think that's a great item. So, all right. Next item is the adoption of the January 9th regular meeting minutes. We have a motion to adopt. All right, have a second.
Second.
All in favor? So carried. Item 7, discussion of the 2025 events calendar.
I'll take that one too, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor. So before you tonight, you saw this last month. This is reflective of the updates that we talked about in our last meeting. So for example, the times have been added to this. We moved over the senior bingo that originally was scheduled for later in May to be before the first Milltown Nights. So before you tonight, and what I will end up going through and putting in our March newsletter and then also sending out on our Facebook will be all of our events. So if somebody maybe at home is listening and didn't hear last month, we have a lot of exciting new events that we're going to throw in this year. For example, our spring litter cleanup, 2, I believe, community yard sales, 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall, which should be a lot of fun over at our ball field. We're bringing back Milltown Nights, which is very exciting. So that entire 2025 events calendar along with dates and times, if the board is good with it, So if we're just all good with it, we'll move forward with this, and then I'll put it on our, respective websites and social media.
Right, they're all good with it. Thank you. Item on the agenda, presentation of our monthly expense and financial.
So I'll take that one too, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor. So before you tonight, just like every month, is the finance, monthly finance report. Obviously, first page is our accounts, second page is our monthly year-to-date. One thing I did want to mention, that's pretty exciting news. So when we budget, and build our budget at the beginning of the year, obviously, one of our largest revenue streams, is the collection of ad valorem taxes. This year, we budgeted for $1.835 million in ad valorem taxes. As of last week, we are already at 1.9 and some change, so it's very good news that our collection rate is still strong, and that we are, collecting more, than we originally budgeted for, so that's great news. That's all for that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions? Brandon? Oh. All right, next item is resolution to approve the North Carolina General Statute 143-885 policy prohibiting pornography on devices and network. Charlie, you want to take that?
I'll take that.
Oh, okay. Nick?
Yes, so the General Assembly, passed passed legislation, session law 2024-26, which prohibits all local governments from, allowing pornography to be viewed on local government networks and devices. So that means, including using Wi-Fi. And it's not just a passive prohibition, it's an active one that they requiring, local governments to pass a policy, or in this case, through a resolution banning it, so that it's very clear. So this resolution would essentially comply with the state law and would, prohibit the viewing or saving of pornography, on any devices or viewing network. Also requires reporting, which, the town will share if there's any incidences where pornography is found on any devices, or any incidents where it's been viewed. And there is an exception for law enforcement, purposes and investigations. So I'll be able to answer any questions, but this is a requirement.
All right.
And if I may, just because I saw you make a funny face, Commissioner Connor, we already don't allow this. This is just to satisfy the general statute, that came out of it. So this is just basically a resolution for us to put back into our policy. This already was not.
Well, we don't have a problem with that.
This wasn't happening before, Daniel.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes. If you would, Mr. Mayor, we would like to approve the resolution.
Okay.
Make such motion.
Have a motion, have a second, all in favor? Second. Item 10, consideration of budget amendment 2425-13.
I'll take that one too. So these three, we can move kind of quickly, but I'll look through each of them individually. So this first one is that stormwater emergency, repair that we had to make over on Nightingale. That was the text that he exchanged. We almost held that, emergency meeting to do so. We just went ahead after talking with you all, and authorized the work. This is the internal bookkeeping, approval of the money transfer section.
Have a motion? Another motion. All right, have a second, all in favor? Thank you. Item consideration of budget amendment 2425.14.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So this is another one that came from the new, so these are this is just a new supplies. This is from our town hall, move to essentially disperse the funds from moving the alarms to our, evidence room, the siren, and some other areas costs. So that's just moving those funds for that.
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Have a second, Ms. Robin. All in favor? So good. Item 12, consideration of budget amendment 2425.50.
Last amendment for tonight, Mr. Mayor. So this is a small amount, but it is one that, for the lead service line project, that was before you last month. These are the funds to close, the closing costs, excuse me, for that one.
Take that. Have a second?
Like the second.
All in favor? Budget timeline, dates, and meetings.
I will take that one as well. So Mayor, report before you tonight, as you know, coming into, the turn of the new year, we are in the heat of our budget season. We like staying ahead, making sure that we are not rushing in and having any special meetings on June 28th or anything like that. So we are, what I have before you tonight is a plan, and if you were, around last year, this should look pretty familiar, because I started in January last year. This is exactly what we did. So before you tonight, and I will read it out loud, just for the folks who may have listened or out in the public, so that we can go through what the proposed meetings and schedule looks like from now until essentially July 1st. That'll get us to a healthy and adopted budget. So as we enter budget preparations, this is the timeline of meetings that will hopefully be adopted by tonight. You'll see the first line, January and February. We've already started working on initial baseline budget items, working with the county to see what the projections are going to be. Tonight, the second item there, February 13th, this is our regular meeting of the board. We will adopt hopefully this budget timeline meetings. We talked about probably a month or so, maybe just a couple of weeks ago, in our department head meetings, as of tomorrow. And in fact, I think our department heads who are already outstanding and above and beyond have already submitted their budget requests to me. So I've got that information from our department heads. When we go into March, we will have on March 25th, so long as everybody's schedule can accommodate, our budget prioritization meeting. So we had one of those last year where we sit down and we really start from the top, start with a vision, start with a strategy, so that that high level goal and that kind of vision can drive some of our more in the weeds, if you will, decisions, right? About our 60,000 foot drive, our 10,000 foot. So what we do is we'll sit down, we did this last year, we'll sit down between 6 and 8. Let's go with the department heads, myself, and our council. It will be a public meeting, and we will discuss what our prioritization is, right? Last year, we had discussed a couple items like our town hall building was falling apart. We had roads that are continuously deteriorating. We want to have more events, more community outreach, and some of those things that will in turn then drive some of those budget decisions that we make further down the road, right? Kind of the loose analogy is we're going to know when we're hopping in the car, we want to know where we're driving before we get in, right? We kind of have that vision from the board so that staff can make appropriate changes and see what we do. So that'll be March 25th. I put a little star by the April 9th meeting. That we can put on hold. If we get out of that March 25th meeting, we're like, man, we left a lot on the table. We have so much more to discuss. Then we can meet that April 9th date. But if we come out of that March 25th meeting and council's or the board is feeling like, you know what, I feel like we gave staff pretty good direction, we're kind of all in line there, we know exactly where we want to head with this, then we won't necessarily need a meeting on it.
So that's Tuesday.
Yeah, and if there are dates on here, and that's why we're presenting it tonight, if there are dates on here that you know you cannot do for a fact, let's talk about it, and then we can change that up tonight. So May 8th, so prior to the regular meeting of the board on May 8th, we did this last year as well, we'll meet from 5:30 to 7 and have our last budget workshop. So that'll just go kind of parlay right into the regular meeting of the board. Well, I will present to you after our department requests, after the board prioritization meeting, in the May before meeting, the May prior to the regular meeting, I'll present to you the budget message, all the line items in theory and ironed out, an almost polished budget. We can talk and have you or make a workshop out of that, and then go right into the May 8th meeting, which will be just directly following that. where I will present out, to the public again, even though they're both public meetings. I'll present the budget message to council once everybody back that. June first, we did this last year. We're gonna continue to do this. I think it's very valuable. On June first, we're gonna have a complete spending freeze. We did this last year. Like I said, we're gonna continue it. Where only emergency procurement's gonna happen in the month of June, so that, Ms. Day has a good opportunity to make sure that our books are getting closed out as we flip to the new fiscal year. Which brings us all the way to June twelfth, which is our regular meeting of the board. Statutorily, we have to have a public hearing for the budget. So just like we did last year on June twelfth, we will have the budget public hearing. Mayor will get us into the public hearing. Anybody that wants to can come and speak on the budget. They will post it on the website and we can work through that. And then by that meeting, June twelfth, we will hopefully adopt the new budget. Not have to call any special meetings or anything crazy like that. And then July 1, it will be adopted and effective. If you have any questions about the dates, please let me know now. If we can get that squared away, then we'll call this moving forward. Yes, ma'am.
It's like something the same as you said.
Sounds great to me.
But like Robin would probably come straight from work.
I like food. I think it sounds good. I was thinking of a joke to say, because somebody said, if we're meeting, we're eating. I think that's a good way of putting it for this. If we're gonna sit around for 4 hours, we might as well have a snack and eat. Having coffee. That's right.
Oh. All right, we have a motion to accept this proposal.
Make the motion to accept the proposal.
I'd like to second.
All in favor? Okay. All right, next item is manager's report, 14.
So, Mr. Mayor, so I have a lot to speak on tonight. So the 2025 Chats with Charlie schedule is out. It went out with the town manager's newsletter in the February newsletter for the bills. So if anybody's interested in attending at home listening or here, one of the Chats with Charlie sessions, it just went out in the newsletter, and I'm looking forward to getting that going. Just a reminder, we are off this Monday, so I'm assuming trash will be delayed one day there. Our digital sign out in front of Town Hall, that's one thing that's been frustrating me every single time I drive by it. It makes me want to pull what's left of my hair out. We thought that we were going to be able to transmit the signal from this new building down there, but we found out here recently that it's going to need some sort of internet or hotspot to be able to transmit that signal. So I just want to let you know, we're in the process of trying to get that resolved. If you drive by it and you still see that it says October meeting, that's because it's what it says, but we're working on getting into that. We also are working on the big sign up here at the lodge that was obviously involved in that accident. I reached out and I got a call back today from the insurance company. They're sending out an adjuster hopefully next week to take a look at that. So I'll meet the adjuster out there to get the sign repaired. And then two kind of other things that we're like in the works on. This is a little bit kind of lofty. It's not necessarily like action item type. But just wanted to kind of give you some awareness of things that we're working on. We've had some good discussion with some of our residents about being more accessible with paying bills or the timing of things, and working on some solutions to that. Like, for example, we're looking at a billing process. We're looking at, does it make sense to get, it's crazy to me that we don't have a debit card swiper. Like, does anybody even carry checks? There's a lot of different ways. I think if I'm thinking about if I'm a resident of Ranlo, how can I have a better experience with my town hall? So we're looking at some of those things, right? And I think one of the times before we had explored getting a card reader at town hall, the company had said it was going to be like an $8 processing fee each time, which is more than our late fee for a bill. So I'm going to try to find some answers and see if there's anybody that can do it for any lower price to see if we can make it easier for our residents. And then one thing I know that keeps popping up, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from some of our residents on, there's no answer yet, but just mentioning this to y'all, just so you have visibility on it, and anybody that may be listening, that we're going to try to get to a solution here soon, is the trucks around the mills. We're getting a lot of feedback from the public about whether it be up here near Central or down near like Love and Ranlo having some, issues with getting on property, their trucks running, and we're gonna start working on trying to get a solution to that. And whatever it may be, I'm not sure yet, but I just want to put it on everybody's radar that we're thinking about it and we're gonna try to start working. And then our Ranlo extension project is moving very quickly. If you haven't been down there, I highly recommend you go take a look. So that's been tracking right along. And I think that's all of my stuff. So at this point, I will pass it over to Chief, who will give you monthly police report.
Responded to 406 calls last month. Some of those calls include 4 shootings, 4 K-9 calls for service, 11 domestics, 5 assaults, breaking and entering, 3 overdoses, served 9 warrants with numerous other calls. We issued 28 citations, we made 10 arrests. Our flock cameras, we had 133,737 cars pass those. Some of the alerts we got were 15 stolen license plates, 2 protection orders, 2 stolen vehicles, and 2 warrants. That's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Earlier, question was brought up, is the town, department targeting people of color in any way, either in, the way they're parking or any other way. You feel like that's a problem, or you
No, sir.
address that?
No, sir, usually those cars don't have anybody in them, so we wouldn't know what the.
I have a concern. I had these, temporary speed bump and, kind of like ready for the bloop bloop, bloop bloop. I mean, I heard that they were gonna move it.
They still are, yes,
You
it's still on schedule. The one at the entrance neighborhood is gonna get moved to Sunday.
Like this month?
We can run.
Okay.
It's still on the schedule.
Bloop,
I don't know what
bloop,
it is.
bloop. Okay,
That's Public Works anyways.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Great work.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry, Chief, I got a question for you. I've heard some neighbors complaining about four-wheelers. Four-wheelers? Can they be on the streets? Not at all?
They're not supposed to be.
Have you gotten any complaints about that too? Oh, okay,
Oh, you're right. Something comes.
okay,
We try to get out and stop these children. We're not having it chasing children around on four-wheelers, motorcycles.
right,
We figure out where they live, we go talk to the parents.
okay,
Sometimes it helps, sometimes it don't. But I don't, myself or the officers get happy chasing the children on four-wheeler.
that's dangerous.
It's dangerous for them and us and everybody else.
Okay,
We can try to stop it best we can without putting anybody in danger.
okay, I just know I've had some neighbors complain about the kids.
Is that a citation?
It could be to the parents, depending on the age of the child.
Go meeting for tonight, and, they got the plans for the 74 bridge. Drawings, here's one of the pictures. I'll pass it around.
Where's that one gonna be?
That's gonna be 74. Down at Dale Superette, going into Charlotte. What the new bridge will look like, and they hope to start on that soon, very soon. And of course, the 85 is supposed to start this summer also. Gonna have a fairly. Also, I was informed that they, are, as the night that I was at the meeting, they were already starting on the project, fixing the, south entrance from 485 to 85. I was familiar with that entrance, coming off 485, it's like 3 lanes of traffic coming down the 1 lane traffic, merge on to 85. They've got a solution to the problem. And now going to extend the runway all the way over, under the bridge of Sam Wilson Road. And it's, still gonna be one lane, but we're gonna extend it. Still gonna be three lanes coming into one lane, and then it'll merge on to 85 once it gets under the 85 or the Sam Wilson Road Bridge. However, the Sam Wilson Bridge, traffic's also gonna merge in onto it, so it'll be four lanes going in. That sounds like a temporary fix to a permanent problem. But that's what it is, you know, engineers come up with this idea and they're gonna fix it. So. And as far as, our road goes, we're still in good shape on our numbers. The only problem that we're having that's affecting us is there's no major accident. Anything you can do about that? We'll falsify a report, right? So it is what it is. I don't have anything else. The board members got anything? Ready to enact our new procedure? A motion to go into closed session? Got a motion, got a second? Gotta read it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Closed session, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318 dot 11, 5 and 6. Now, you have a motion? Have a second? We have a second. All in favor to go closed session? So carried.
So the live stream will stay on, public can stay, we will come back.
Yeah. Shortcut.
It wasn't me.
You're right. Ain't no way I can do that.
You see, I did like that. But I did pretty good, didn't
What was your score?
I? Volleyball.
Volleyball.
No athlete, though. Was an athlete.
All right, at this moment, I would entertain a motion to come out of closed session, state of North Carolina Penal Statute 143-318, 5 and 6. I make a motion.
I'll say.
Motion and second, all in favor? Closed session, was for information only, so we have no votes or decisions to be made. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make such a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? So carried. This meeting's now done.
And I hope you all get a lot of love tomorrow, okay? A lot of love.
Hey, Charlie?